You know, every morning when I open the door to my clinic, the first thing I see isn't disease. It's the familiar faces of people over 60, people just like you, trying their best to keep their eyes and memory from slipping away faster than time itself. And there's one number that still tightens my chest every time I think about it. After age 65, the brain loses nearly 20% of its blood flow, and the eyes lose even more. That's not fear. That's science from the Journal of Cerebral Blood Flow and Metabolism. When circulation slows down, neurons hesitate, the retina weakens, and every morning you wake up with the same three companions: blurry eyes, a foggy head, and memories that feel like shattered glass. People often tell me, "Doctor, I think I'm just getting old." And I always look them in the eye and say, "No, this is not your destiny. This decline isn't random, and more importantly, it's not irreversible." I want you to imagine this. At night, when you close your eyes, your brain and your eyes don't go to sleep. They clock in for their night shift, clearing waste, repairing tissue, reconnecting old pathways. But after decades in this profession, there's one truth that still breaks my heart. Most people don't recover. Not because their bodies are weak, but because they're missing the raw materials. And the beautiful thing is, those raw materials don't come from expensive medications or complicated supplements. They come from everyday things. Dried fruits you've probably walked past 1,000 times at the grocery store, never realizing they're the very fuel your brain and eyes crave after 60. Today, I want to tell you that story. My name is Dr. David Warren, and at 60 years old, there's something you learn after more than 3 decades in medicine. You don't just treat illness, you witness lives. I've worked with thousands of patients in their 50s, 60s, even 80s. And what I've learned is this: our eyes and our brains, even when tired, still want to heal as long as we know how to give them a chance. I specialize in eye-brain health for older adults, a field I've dedicated half my life to. Not because a textbook told me to, but because every patient carries a story, a worry, a hope. And over time, I realized something. Recovering your health after 60 isn't really a medical issue. It's a matter of belief and choosing the right actions. And my goal in this video is simple: to give you back a sense of control, to offer natural, gentle, practical tools, things you can start tonight, to nourish your brain, brighten your eyes, and help you wake up each morning as the clearest version of yourself. I'm not promising miracles, but I am promising the truth. And the truth is, sometimes all your body needs is the right food before bed, and it takes care of the rest. Before we talk about the 4 dried fruits, I want you to understand one important thing. Something very few doctors have time to explain. Your brain and your eyes aren't weakening because you're aging. They're weakening because they're running out of fuel to repair themselves. Think of your body as a small town. During the day, that town works non-stop. Your eyes fight off blue light, UV rays, dry air. Your brain handles information, emotion, memory. Everything burns energy. But nighttime, that's when the real work begins. The cleanup crews come out. Neurons get cleared. The retina regenerates. Tiny blood vessels reopen. All of it happening in silence. So what changes after 60? Blood flow slows, vessels stiffen, nutrient absorption drops, and the repair teams simply run out of supplies. That's why you wake up with dry eyes, sluggish memory, and that heavy morning fog. Not because you're weak, but because your body didn't have enough materials to rebuild during the night. This is my favorite part of the job: finding simple, natural, inexpensive solutions that work with the way the human body was designed. And after hundreds of patients, I've seen one thing clearly. Certain natural foods, especially dried fruits, contain concentrated nutrients that help the brain and eyes regenerate every night. They're like clean fuel your body has been waiting for. And now let me take you to the next step, where those simple dried fruits begin to work their quiet magic inside you. If I had to choose one dried fruit that works like a midnight craftsman, repairing your inner wiring while you sleep, it would be the dried fig. It's small, humble, often overlooked, yet it works with the precision of a skilled artisan, tapping in each nail, sealing each crack inside your nervous system and your eyes. Dried figs contain a rare mix of polyphenols, magnesium, potassium, and a special fiber called physon. When you eat a fig, you're not eating a snack. You're feeding your body restoration fuel, something older adults are often deficient in. Polyphenols act like guards protecting your neurons and retinal cells from oxidative stress and inflammation. For your eyes, figs reopen the tiny pathways inside your retina, where photoreceptor cells rely on light and oxygen to work. The retina is one of the most energy-hungry tissues in the body, especially at night. Anthocyanins help rebuild these cells, while the natural sugars in figs provide a steady energy supply for the optic nerve. Several patients have told me that after just a few weeks of figs before bed, their eyes felt less gritty, less dry, and their morning vision wasn't as blurry. But the beauty of figs goes even deeper. They help neurons reconnect. A 2018 study in nutritional neuroscience showed that aged rats fed figs had better memory and increased hippocampal activity. And a 2020 paper in the Journal of Food Biochemistry found that fig extract boosts glutathione and superoxide dismutase, powerful antioxidants protecting neurons from decline. I remember Robert, 68. He used to joke, "If my brain works in the morning, that's a miracle." After adding just 2 figs each night, along with a few almonds, he returned 3 weeks later, almost glowing. "Doctor, I read the newspaper this morning without squinting every 2 seconds." That's not magic. That's biology. How to use figs. Simple. 2 or 3 figs about 1 hour before bedtime. Pair them with almonds or a small piece of cheese for better blood sugar stability and absorption. Avoid syrup-coated figs and they won't help you. Give your body the right materials and it will repair itself in ways you may have forgotten were possible. If figs are the craftsman working cell by cell, then raisins are the gentle current flowing through your nervous system and eyes, brightening, energizing, waking things up. Each raisin, small and wrinkled, is like a tiny battery holding the concentrated power of a whole grape. Raisins contain 2 powerhouse compounds, quercetin and resveratrol, defenders of tiny blood vessels and fragile tissues. They're also rich in boron and iron, which support oxygen delivery and neural energy. When oxygen rises in the brain and eyes, everything from focus to memory improves. For your eyes, raisins act like a shield against the silent enemy of seniors, retinal microinflammation. These tiny capillaries weaken with age, causing gradual vision loss. A 2019 study in the Journal of Functional Foods found that dark raisins are especially high in quercetin and resveratrol, reducing inflammation and slowing night vision decline. I've seen it many times in my practice. Patients saying they can see shadows with more detail, or transition from bright to dim light without that sharp discomfort. For the brain, resveratrol opens up new lanes for blood flow. A 2017 study in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience showed improved spatial memory in older adults taking resveratrol. I remember Kathleen, 72, who told me she hated driving at night because everything looks like a smear. I suggested 1 spoonful of raisins before bed. Plain, no oil, no sugar added. 6 weeks later, she said, "Doctor, I still don't like driving at night, but at least now I can see the road signs clearly." Small changes, real changes. How to use raisins. Just 1 small tablespoon, about 30 minutes before bed. Choose organic, no oil, no preservatives. Pair them with nuts for slow, steady absorption. You don't need much. You just need consistency. If raisins are that warm current and figs are the careful craftsman, then dates are like a nighttime oil lamp for your brain and your eyes. Not harsh, not flashy, but steady, warm, and reliable. Dates give your brain exactly what it needs most during sleep, a clean, stable source of energy so your nervous system doesn't run out of fuel in the middle of the night. After 60, your levels of acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter tied to memory, thinking, and reaction time, drop sharply. Dates, with their polyphenols, beta-glucan, potassium, and gentle natural glucose, act like support beams for tired neurons, helping them keep their rhythm, keep their signals, and keep you clear-headed the next morning. For your eyes, dates have another job. They help rebuild rhodopsin, the pigment that lets you see in the dark. I often joke with my patients, if everything looks hazy at night, like there's a film over your vision, it might not be your glasses. It might be your rhodopsin calling for help. Dates, thanks to their vitamin A and carotenoids, are the fuel that rebuilds that pigment, helping you see better in low light, reducing glare, and easing that temporary blindness when you step out into the dark. And there's science behind this. A 2016 study in neural regeneration research showed that date fruit extract can restore memory in aged animals, boosting acetylcholine and reducing oxidative stress in the nervous system. Another study in 2021 in Nutrients found that polyphenols in dates protect the hippocampus, your brain's memory center, from inflammation and beta-amyloid buildup, the same protein linked to Alzheimer's. I remember Elaine, 73, so clearly. She came to see me with worried eyes and a very soft voice. "Doctor, lately I forget even my best friend's name, and I'm scared to drive at night." It wasn't a severe disease. Her brain and eyes were simply starving for fuel. I suggested one tiny change: 2 dates before bed with a small handful of pumpkin seeds. 6 weeks later, she walked back into my office with a smile I hadn't seen before. "Doctor, I can read the road signs more clearly, and this morning I told a story without losing my train of thought." I looked at her and said, "That's your body doing the work. The dates were just the spark." Using dates is simple. Just 1 to 2 dates each night, paired with a small handful of seeds or nuts, pumpkin seeds, almonds, or walnuts. You don't need a lot, and you should avoid dates coated in syrup or sugar. The most important thing is consistency, because your brain and eyes love stability. Dates are not the miracle. Your body is. If the first 3 fruits are the craftsman, the currant, and the night lamp, then dried apricots are like a silent shield around your brain and eyes. They don't just nourish, they protect. And they protect exactly where you're most vulnerable after 60, the blood-brain barrier and the blood-retinal barrier. I always tell my patients, your eyes and your brain don't just need nutrients, they need walls. And dried apricots are one of the strongest natural walls we have. Dried apricots are rich in beta-carotene, a precursor to vitamin A, a nutrient that's absolutely essential for both brain and eye health. Think of beta-carotene as the bricks rebuilding the protective layers around your cells, helping them stand firm against storms of inflammation, oxidation, and toxins. They also contain vitamin E, copper, iron, and especially chlorogenic acid, a compound that helps keep your blood sugar steady throughout the night, preventing that midnight energy crash that leaves your brain feeling dull and heavy in the morning. For your eyes, dried apricots are like guards at the city gate. After 60, the blood-retinal barrier becomes leaky, allowing inflammation and toxins to creep in, leading to blurry vision, cataracts, or macular degeneration. A 2022 study in the International Journal of Ophthalmology showed that vitamin A and carotenoids in dried apricots help strengthen this barrier, reducing the risk of macular degeneration and retinal damage. That's why so many of my patients tell me things like, "My eyes aren't as sensitive to light anymore," or "Bright lights at night don't bother me like they used to." But what I love most about dried apricots is how they affect the brain. The blood-brain barrier, that filter protecting your brain from toxins, also weakens with age. A 2019 paper in Molecular Nutrition and Food Research showed that beta-carotene reduces the permeability of this barrier, meaning it helps block inflammation and toxins from entering the brain. And when that barrier is protected, your brain stays clearer, steadier, and sharper for longer. I think of Matthew, 75, who used to say, "Doctor, my head feels heavier every year." He struggled with glare outdoors and often woke up with stinging eyes. I suggested 2 to 3 dried apricots each night, along with a small handful of sunflower seeds. 4 weeks later, he told me, "Doctor, I don't know exactly why, but my eyes feel more comfortable in the morning, and my head feels lighter like someone opened a window." That's what happens when the walls get patched up. Using dried apricots is easy. Eat 2 to 3 pieces, about 1 hour before bed. Choose ones with no sulfur dioxide, no added sugar, no artificial coloring. Pair them with sunflower seeds or a spoonful of almond butter so the healthy fats can help vitamin A do its job more effectively. Dried apricots are not just a snack. They're a fortress your brain and eyes over 60 have been quietly asking for. I know that at our age, complicated health plans usually last a few days and then disappear. That's why I want you to have a routine that's truly simple, something you can follow long-term, without pressure, without having to change your whole life. In the morning, as soon as you wake up, drink a small glass of water. That's it. Water is the signal that wakes up your nervous system and softens the tiny blood vessels in your brain and eyes. If you can, let a bit of morning light hit your eyes for about a minute. Not staring at the sun, just gentle light. It helps reset your body clock, which supports both memory and better sleep at night. In the afternoon, you don't need to do anything fancy. Just aim for a light, balanced meal, low in sugar, higher in fiber, so your body can process and absorb dried fruits better in the evening. Many of my patients like to take a 10-minute walk after dinner. It naturally boosts blood flow to the brain. In the evening, this is your golden hour. About 45-60 minutes before bed, choose 2 out of the 4 dried fruits we talked about. For example, tonight, figs plus raisins. Tomorrow, dates plus dried apricots. The amounts are simple. Figs, 2 to 3 pieces. Raisins, 1 small tablespoon. Dates, 1-2 pieces. Dried apricots, 2 to 3 pieces. You can add 5 to 7 almonds or a spoonful of nut butter to help balance blood sugar and keep nutrients releasing slowly through the night. You don't have to change your whole life. You just have to change your evenings. Before we wrap up, I'd like you to take a quiet moment and ask yourself a very simple question. How strong could this body still become if I started caring for it the right way, starting tonight? I've worked with older adults for over 30 years, and the moments that move me the most are not the lab results or perfect numbers on a chart. It's the little ordinary moments, the moments every one of us deserves. One of my patients, 76, once told me, "Doctor, this morning was the first time sunlight didn't feel so harsh on my eyes." Another, 71, said, "I could read the tiny print in my Bible without blinking 100 times." Those things are small, but when you add them up, they become the raw material of a freer, gentler life. I want you to understand this. Your body has not forgotten how to heal. It just needs you to send it a signal, a reminder, the right fuel at the right time, and every night when you reach for 2 to 3 figs, a spoonful of raisins, a soft date, or a few pieces of dried apricot, you're telling your body, tonight I'm giving you a chance to recover. Trust me, your body is still listening, even when you're convinced it's too tired to respond. If you've made it this far, that tells me something very important. You care about your eyes, your memory, and your life, and I deeply respect that. If anything I've shared today has touched you, helped you understand your body better, helped you believe that clarity and sharpness are still possible, then I'd like to ask you for one small favor. Please hit like so YouTube knows that health content for older adults matters. Please share this video with a friend or a loved one who's worried about fading vision or memory. Sometimes one small habit is enough to change the quality of their days. And if you'd like to keep receiving natural, simple, science-backed guidance, please subscribe to the channel. Every week I'll be right back here, like a companion on the journey, sharing what I've learned over 3 decades in medicine, so you can live lighter, clearer, and more confidently in your own body. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'll see you next week, and I wish you a deep, peaceful, healing sleep tonight.